Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most highly requested, intensely debated topics out there, and that is how to actually deal with the narcissist. We hear the same advice all the time, right? Just walk away, cut them off. But let's be real for a second. What happens when simply cutting them out of your life is completely impossible? What if this person is your boss, a co-parent you share kids with, or a close family member? Well, today, we are changing the rules of the game. If you are dealing with someone toxic and you absolutely cannot just walk away, you are in the exact right place. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to depersonalize the toxic behavior being thrown at you, and more importantly, how to stand firmly in your own authentic power. To do this, we're leaning on the incredible insights of Mel Robbins and Rebecca Zung. Rebecca is a top-ranked trial lawyer who has spent decades researching and successfully negotiating against narcissists in incredibly high-stakes environments, so she knows exactly what she's talking about.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the origins of narcissism, then cover the 3 types of narcissists, the relationship cycle, the narcissistic supply matrix, and finally, how to master the SLA Framework.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the origins of narcissism, and uncover the psychological roots of this behavior.
Okay, so the absolute most crucial thing to understand right off the bat is that narcissists are made. They are not born. Research shows that repeated childhood trauma literally stunts the development of the brain's emotional control center, which is called the limbic system. Because they were essentially stuck in a constant fight-or-flight stress response early in life, they experience arrested development. This means that as adults, they suffer from severe emotional dysregulation. Realizing this changes everything, honestly. It means their behavior is deeply rooted in their own trauma, it is not something you caused, and it is absolutely not your fault.
It's wild when you look at the deep neurological disconnect going on in their brains. On one side, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is the fully functioning, highly logical, reasoning adult part of the brain. Because of this, they can run giant companies, act incredibly charming, and sound super smart. But on the flip side, their limbic system is operating emotionally like a stunted, highly impulsive 8-year-old throwing a tantrum. You might think you're sitting at a table negotiating with a rational adult, but the second they get triggered, you are quite literally dealing with a child throwing a fit on the floor. And this dynamic leads to a fascinating yet super dangerous phenomenon. Rebecca Zung sums this up perfectly. She says, they are seemingly blind or indifferent to the collateral damage that they cause. They are literally blinded by their actions. When a narcissist gets triggered, that immature limbic system completely hijacks their brain. They enter a state of what experts call narcissistic blindness, where they legitimately might not even remember the horrible, cruel things they just said or did to you. You know that intense denial that makes you feel completely crazy? Well, it's often because their emotional brain just completely overrode their logical brain.
Moving on to Section 2, 3 types of narcissists and how to identify the specific threat you're dealing with.
So there are 3 main types you need to watch out for. First up is the Grandiose type. This is your garden variety narcissist. They are loud, always in your face at the dinner party, constantly bragging about their money or achievements, and highly impulsive. Next, we have the Covert narcissist. This one is tricky because they are incredibly stealthy and passive-aggressive. They will quietly sabotage your plans, constantly play the victim to make you feel guilty, and use triangulation, basically gossiping, to turn your own friends against you. They excel at making you feel like you are the one losing your mind. And finally, the Malignant type. These individuals are deeply dangerous. They are the ones who might stalk you, threaten physical violence, and actively scheme to completely ruin your career and personal life.
Let's shift to Section 3, the narcissistic relationship cycle. These are the rules of engagement.
No matter which type you're dealing with, the toxic dynamic almost always follows a highly predictable, exhausting pattern. Day 1 kicks off with intense, overwhelming love bombing. They act like perfect chameleons, mirroring everything you want, showering you with grand gestures and nonstop texts to lock you in quickly. But eventually the mask slips. This moves into the devaluing phase, where the lies start, the insults fly, and you seriously start questioning your own sanity. Finally, it ends with a totally ruthless discard, where they just withdraw completely and instantly treat you like public enemy number 1.
What's truly terrifying about this unpredictable cycle is that it physically rewires your brain. That intermittent positive reinforcement, it causes massive spikes of dopamine, and that unpredictable push and pull behavior creates a deep trauma bond. You literally develop a physiological addiction in your brain that is remarkably similar to the addiction of pulling the lever on a slot machine. You end up sticking around, constantly waiting for that next random hit of love bombing, which is exactly why it feels so incredibly impossible to just pack up and walk away.
Now for Section 4, the Narcissistic Supply Matrix. Let's look at what they are really after.
Because narcissists have a completely empty internal sense of value, they are absolutely desperate to feed their ego externally. This is their supply. Think of it in two tiers. First is diamond-level supply. This is their pristine public image, their money, their prestigious friends, their fancy job titles. They will protect this diamond supply at all costs, sometimes even destroying their own family to keep it intact. Then you have coal-level supply. This is the quick, everyday hit they get by degrading people, controlling you, and pushing you down, just so they can feel a tiny bit better about themselves.
All right, let's get into the good stuff. Section 5, Mastering the SLA Framework, your ultimate tactical defense.
This brings us to a proven, lawyer-approved methodology to actually win, the SLA Framework. S stands for strategy. You need to create a hyper-specific, crystal-clear vision of what you actually want out of this relationship or negotiation. L is for leverage. You have to figure out exactly what threatens their precious diamond-level supply, and you must document everything. A is for anticipate. Fully expect them to bait you with drama and resolutely refuse to roll around in the mud with them. Finally, Y is for you. Stand firmly in your authentic power, keeping in mind that their entire persona is just a mask for deep, deep fear.
So how do we put this into daily practice? Well, you need leverage. Keep strict written records of every single text and email, because frankly, they get careless with their words when they're angry. Next, observe their behavior from a distance like a scientist. Whatever you do, don't absorb their toxicity. And finally, utilize a brilliant, if slightly uncomfortable tactic Rebecca Zung calls fluff for favor, vomit later. Use their endless need for supply right against them. Feed their ego temporarily to get the signature or agreement you need. And yeah, playing to their vanity might literally make you want to vomit later, but it gets the job done.
Now, when they inevitably don't get their way and start throwing an 8-year-old's emotional tantrum to extract that coal-level supply from you, you need a verbal shield. Try delivering this direct, completely emotionless phrase. I agree with you that we're not going to agree. Your triggers are not my responsibility. That's it. Refuse to defend yourself, refuse to justify your actions, and definitely do not overshare. Let their words bounce right off of you. To keep yourself grounded in this powerful mindset, I want you to always remember the Wizard of Oz metaphor. Think about it. The booming, terrifying, intimidating Wizard of Oz was actually just a scared, emotionally stunted little man desperately hiding behind a giant manufactured projection. That is exactly what the narcissist in your life is. They are entirely fear-based, absolutely terrified of abandonment, and projecting an illusion to keep you under their thumb.
We'll wrap up today with this incredibly powerful quote from Glinda the Good Witch. Go away, you have no power here. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you are fully armed with the knowledge of their childhood trauma, their desperate addiction to supply, and the tactical SLA framework, are you ready to stand in your authentic power, look the narcissist squarely in the eye, and finally take your life back?